Hello, everyone, and welcome to Paranormal Peeps with Garry Fields. We just waited for one or two people to come online at the moment, and just waiting for my phone to catch up with the broadcast.
Evening to you, madam.
Evening, how are you doing, Garry?
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Yeah. Couldn't be better.
I bet, really. You're used to travelling, aren't you? What are you doing with all the resting?
Yeah, definitely. Just catching up, I'd say. Just catching up, which is fantastic. Nice to catch up.
Right, we've got one or two joining us now. I'm still waiting for the feed to actually appear on my phone. Okay. It should happen shortly, hopefully. I'm waiting for the comments to come up and everything.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So we'll get started then. So welcome, Gail Morgan, Lisa Hill. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. John Tolliday. We have Garry Fields with us. Garry Fields is a medium. I've met him on one or two investigations, and he tends to travel around generally most weekends.
Yeah, I just feel it's strange not getting out and about every weekend.
Yeah, that's it. It's always on your Facebook. You're travelling here, there, and everywhere. You know, one day you've been in Scotland, then you've been down south, and quite amazed about how much mileage you actually did.
Well, I'd say I've just seen the car off, basically, so I've had to get a new vehicle.
Oh, no, that's a beautiful vehicle as well, that was.
Yeah. But it served its time. It doesn't owe me a penny, basically.
Yeah. I first investigated you with you at Warwick Castle. It's a private event, and it's an amazing event, wasn't it? And there's three of us. There's me, Nick, and you, and we were sort of in a team all together. We just went round different rooms, didn't we?
We certainly did, and as again, I always like spirits to come forward and work with us. So Alaska buildings come alive, unfold the evidence that's there, and spirits that want to come forward, will come forward and work with us, as you've seen.
Yeah, you sort of do a different method now. I'm developing, and I don't know what happened that night, but all of a sudden I was walking into a room going, right, I've got somebody sitting here, somebody sitting here, and like, what's going on? It kind of freaked me out the next day because I had seen so much. Hi, Neil, thanks for joining us. Hi, Jack. So how did that work then? Why was I picking so much up?
Just basically people in and around me. I am a high energy medium, so I will throw my energies out on the investigation, in the room, in the location, and basically in and around my aura. I will throw my aura out and ask spirits to come and blend with that. So if you're in and around my aura, you will be picking up on the vibrations of what spirits are in and around me, plus your vibrations will be given that extra charge with the energy as well. So everything out there is a lot linked with energies. So that's how any time you're around the medium, depending on how they work, is some mediums will want you to receive, some mediums will shrink their energy in and keep a lot of information to themselves as well.
Yeah, I've never been in a position where I've had so much thrown at me. That was kind of quite a strange experience.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, it was really different, but it was amazing. We've got Rush joining us. I know you know Rush is investigating. We've got Amy. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Jolene. Jolene's on.
Hiya, Joe. Nice to see you. Hiya, Rush.
So if anyone's got any questions, let us know. So what, have you always been a medium?
I think I closed off for a long time. Played a lot of football for a few years. So after that, I just started to open back up from a youngster. So I did receive early on in my days, and I did see too much, too quick, too soon. So I think you just shy away from it for your teens, and then as a little in your teens, you just shy away from it, and then you're always distracted with keeping busy, bringing a family up, and all that type of thing. And then as soon as I was about 37, just everything just started really opening up and coming to me as the kitchen sink. Basically, it just would not let me rest.
Wow, amazing. But were you picking it up when you were young and your family were around you? Did you mention it?
Yeah, it was a lot of things was happening more with deja vu, seeing spiritual things from past life in your mind's eyes, getting cine clips of, I mean, the energy's changing already here. As you can see, I'm just moving my hands, but behind me, the energy's already starting to shift. I am actually sat in the kitchen at the minute, and I do know
Right.
there is a positive portal in and around this part of the house as well. So it might start and getting a bit interesting, and a lot of spirits try and trance through because I do that, and then they try and step in, and you've got to working it out is the hard part, I'd say, of what's going on in and around you, you know.
Right. So hi to Carol Frey. Thanks for joining us. It's amazing what you did the other day.
Oh yeah,
Oh wow. I wish
well
you all
done.
good luck. I
Very
really
proud
do.
of you. Very proud of you, Karen. Well done.
Yeah, amazing.
I've got you a nice surprise as well, as you know.
Oh, bless you. That's lovely. Oh, my thing's gone. Okay, how do you from
Behind
Sarah?
me, right. Karen's just said behind me, right hand shoulder already. So it's
All
just
right.
as we're talking, it's just starting to open up, and just basically energy's building as we're talking away now.
Yeah, I've been seeing some sort of interference anyway, between us. So yeah, that's quite amazing. Sarah's actually asking when you first realised that you were.
Yeah, I was actually 5, and I just seen myself looking up at myself from a grave as another youngster.
Oh
But
wow.
when I was looking back at myself in the grave, I couldn't see out my eyes at 5-year-old looking down. I could see me in the grave looking back up at myself. So it was like a time loop looking back, and it was just like, you can imagine Superman in the X-ray vision. It's not
Yeah.
the actual clarity of seeing that, but it was just directly just looking back at myself in a grave from a past life, which was quite shocking. And I was quite stumbled and moved on from there really, and then just getting a lot of deja vu over the years with a few disasters that's gone on. Information coming a year before things happened, and obviously with following a lot of football, I have been in and around a couple of them as well, but prior to them happening as well. So sometimes as a medium as well, it's you can't talk about a certain topic or a subject prior to it happening.
No.
So
No
you
way.
basically, you can sit on something for 12 months, and yeah, you'll forget about it or put it at the back of your mind, and then all of a sudden it'll just hit you like a steam train, or you're like a rabbit in the headlights. Then when it happens, it's just like seeing things unfold. It's like a premonition, but it's a sixth sense of protection coming up as well, looking after you. I got stopped from going a few certain places prior to things happening, so I was diverted a few times as well. So
Right.
obviously, I believe that's my team looking after me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. When you say you've stopped, what do you mean?
Someone's trying to say
Yeah.
that's not me. Different things come around where I was due to go somewhere, and I didn't go, and then something not brilliant happened in just as a natural disaster that I wasn't in that place at that time. I'd stopped following my team, and then a certain situation involved where usually I would have been there. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I wouldn't, even though I've experienced it spiritually of things unfolding, my teams took me away from that because I've seen a lot in 1985, and I even wanted to turn around on the journey before that disaster unfolded 3 or 4 days later. I just wanted to come home, but I knew what I was going into, if you can understand what I mean. So even on the journey, I was like, I want to go home. Why?
Yeah.
What's the matter? Nothing. I want to go home. So you get the bad vibes, you get that bad sensation of you feel uneasy, feel really uneasy. Do you know what I mean? It's not negative. It's a way of dealing that. I think what's happened spiritually over the years as I've grown and evolved, it's understanding of what they will give you, certain things to understand if you can control and deal with.
Right. Okay.
They will give you more to deal with if you can control it in a better professional way. They're saying we can explain this. We can give you some more information on what's coming in and around the head. How are you going to deal and cope with that now? So really, from a youngster at 17, 18 and 19 to when I was 37, I'd gone through a lot. The six senses had kicked in and kept me in good stead, really, and put me onto the road and the path of where I am today. So I think that they've been testing me all the way along, even from an early age of 5, definitely.
Amazing. What about your family? How did they deal with this? Did they help you? Did they understand?
Situation yesterday, it's always the same. I was just about to phone you and you phoned me. That's my dad. My daughter's got the sixth sense as well, and I think my lad's a little bit. He's just he's busy enough in his life, so he shuts off from it. He's how I was, if you get what I mean. But my daughter's she's more open to it as well. But I definitely got the traits down the bloodline. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Sarah Greening Steers saying, "Can you switch off when you want to?" Have you got that?
Yeah. What I do now over the years, as I've developed, is I always say when I do my Monday to Friday job professionally, I just switch off. My office is closed. When I'm out of my Monday to Friday position, professional, that's it. I'm open to receive then. But when I'm at home, I'm open to receive when I want to work. So I can open and close my office as and when required. And sometimes, again, you know that something's on its way prior to things coming to you within the evening, or like yesterday, I had the house clearance to do, but I didn't feel unsettled yesterday. I just knew something was on its way of that evening, which I ended up doing a house clearance last night from distance.
Oh wow, that's amazing. So it's all sorted then, is it?
Yes, and very much settled, protected, and the family have had a good night's sleep, which is a bonus. Which is a bonus.
So you've achieved your result, really, haven't you? You've done it.
Well, again, it's down to the balance with them contacting you if they feel uneasy. So the more information they can give you in and around of, they've saged and they've put protection up around the property, as well as what we've done and put our protection up. And sometimes some people just want you to do the kitchen sink. They want you to do everything, where if they play and do their part within the house and follow us and what we're trying to explain with helping with protection. And, you know, we're there to help and settle things down, but they've got to do their little bit as well.
Yeah, that's right. They've got to keep up with it, haven't they, really?
Yeah. It works both ways.
Well, yeah, that's right. I've got a question from Terry Coops. Terry was actually at Smethwick that night. When we went to the bath, I was actually in her too. She wants to know, as control, is it your own intuition or your guides?
I always say anyone can be a medium, but just go with your gut intuition. You build from your energy, from your gut intuition, throw your energies out there, and your guides will come in and work with you as well. So my guides will step in. Situation we had in Drakelow tunnels, where people were saying, when they started saying, when I was trancing through with my guide, that I knew that something was about to happen, because he'd come in to protect. And as you could see, and do the transfiguration, and you could see my guide, I knew to close the session down then, because I know something was going to go on. So you get to that, close the barriers, you know, let's step away. There's another time. We'll come back. We'll investigate.
Yeah, so, you know, it was getting a bit heavy in Drakelow that day. But yeah, you just stopped it, didn't you? I think we broke for a break then, didn't we?
I think, yeah, it was nice to see Jolene run 20 yards down the tunnel. Sorry, Joe.
Did Jolene scream? No, I didn't say that at all.
No.
Brilliant. Hi, Adrian. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Elizabeth. If you've got any questions, if you just add them to the chat. You've been to a lot of locations. In fact, every weekend you probably do 2 or 3, don't you?
I try to get out on one at least. Do you know what I mean? It is a drug. Yeah. It is a drug. You'll have to excuse the notifications off there. I'll just turn that off for you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Someone's laughing at that comment. You never tell me. Obviously you pick things up spiritually, but what's your sort of favourite sort of location?
I do love castles. Are to me linked with the past life, with the Knights Templars and stuff like that as well. So I think a lot of that ties in with being linked in with the castles, and you can feel the build up when you go into locations as well. Before you get there, you'll feel energies like jump in the back of the car, and halfway through the investigation, they'll be like, you jumped in at such and such town, didn't you? And it's like, yeah. And then they want to work and communicate, because you're naturally thinking about going to a location. It's like, right, I'm coming along, because they can see your white light, they can see your white light open, and then they'll just come along as well for the ride.
Yeah, sometimes I found that I'm driving and I can feel ill, or just before I leave home, I can feel ill. But I've had issues with a car trying to stop me getting to locations. But I know why that happened.
You can get that quite often. Is like they'll try and unease you. If there's a spirit energy there that's a very strong energy and an entity that doesn't want you to work and it doesn't want to work with you, it will throw the kitchen sink at you. I have had it before where we have had 3 team cars going up to a location, and one's had a blowout, one's had a flat tire, and the next morning on the drive when we had the sleepover, we got up, the other tire was down on the 3rd car, so we'd had 3 punctures, one on each car, on each vehicle. And it's just like, how can I say, it's like a little, I'll give you a little bit of payback as well for coming.
Yeah, I've had a puncture on my car. I did go to my lot pavilion. That's where I had my first crazy experience, and I had a puncture. But it's amazing how the AA came out within 5 minutes. I had a spare tire with air in it. It's just too many coincidences. It just doesn't happen, does it? Not really. Lisa Hill, where's the location you felt the most uncomfortable in, and why?
All right. Most uncomfortable. I think it's when you're going into challenge and work around a negative. I always say, like, one below the main man down there. So you know that you've got to put your armor on, you've got to put your protection on, and trying to show them as well and trance them through for people to see and receive. So I would say that at some locations, again, I don't do any research on the place. I do like watching a castle program. I was watching a couple the other night. I'll explain about that in a minute. It's just because I've had time on my hands. Do you know what I mean? So I'll sit and watch a castle program. But it's not for the information. I just love all the history around it. But I think it's trying not to get somebody in the team affected by a lower negative energy that's trying to zap somebody or floor them or give them a bad experience where they just totally want to go home. So I always try and protect everyone as a bubble, which I've done going up to witches' circles, and you can actually see the bubble around where the protection is, and you can actually see the whole protection around. So again, sometimes you've got to respect the lie of the land. So it depends if you're working with Druid times or you're going back 500, 600 years, 300 years. It's understanding of the layers that's coming unfolding that you're walking into. So the modern day time, if I'm going to a witch's circle or I'm going up to a Corwin in North Wales, I'll know to put full protection up, because when I'm actually there, I've got to protect the team first. So I've got to make sure that they're all right. It doesn't matter what comes in it to me, because I'm quite used to being in that situation. But it's about the balance. It's about talk to me on a fair, even keel, where I want to know what you're about. You come and tell me what you're about, and we'll work together, because we're in different time zones and time lapses. So their mannerisms of the gentleman in Llangollen Castle, where he'd had his tongue cut out, and I could, through torture and all that, but the frustration of this chap trying to come through who couldn't communicate, and I'm like, I know you're here, I know you're here, I know you're here. Why can't you say what you need to say? Yeah, it might have been in the Welsh language, but I always ask them to use the universal language. And it wasn't till I come home and I was virtually sat down, had a cup of tea, and I've gone, he's been tortured.
Oh.
So that is tongue cut out. So I am due back there. I actually got pushed down the slope on the way back down because it's very steep there. And I did twist my knee that night as well. So I was virtually shoved off the land. So I will always go back where you're saying, and I'm looking at, that's the type of, I know what's ahead of me when I'm going there now.
Right, yeah.
Something was on, it's about to happen, but you can't foresee just moving a foot or two down this hill and this slope and you twist your knee. It is what it is, isn't it? You know, so they're the type of situations at a location where it's like, right, I'm going, let's go back to the car. Then all of a sudden you've gone home with a twisted knee. It's gonna happen if it's gonna happen. You can't stop everything, but again, it's all about, I'll come back and I'll acknowledge you. But there is a very stubborn man up there as well. So
All right.
I am due back there. That's the picture of the post that you put up. That's where that is as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's that location.
I have to look at that location then, and hopefully in the new world I can get there and have a look round. So when you're doing all this, how do you deal with being drained? Do you get really drained?
Yeah, plenty of water.
Right, plenty of water. Do you get headaches through it, or?
No, not really. No, not as much headaches. I think your vibration. It's always nice to do a little balance and cleansing meditation as and when you can and catch up. You know,
Right.
I have a nice roll top bath, so it's just nice to unwind in my own time and just chill out when I chill out. But that's where I just regenerate. And to be honest with you, I regenerate Monday to Friday.
Right, yeah, that's right. Then it's ready for the weekend again.
Yeah.
So you don't actually suffer from what they call the paranormal hangover then?
Oh, I've had many a paranormal hangover. I'd say that I'd say last year I've had 3 or 4 last year, and I mean real shocking, like you've really been hungover, and so again it's that regenerate again, get the water down, you get the fluids going, you know.
Yeah. Oh, blimey.
So that's I'd say the downward side of it. Do you know what I mean? The paranormal hangover.
Yeah.
And I think if you're on a second location the next night, it's like half an hour before you're there. It's like, right, come on, you're already got the hyperness of just let's go and let's get on with it. Let's crack on. Cup of coffee, and you're away, aren't you? Or a cup of tea, and you're away. So I do enjoy the hospitality of what people bring to the table as well. You know, we are made welcome everywhere we go, which is lovely.
That's brilliant. Yeah, Eddie said plenty of water and a good breakfast next morning.
Certainly is, Ed. I can't wait. Can't wait to see new property.
But you usually have a meal before you go in, don't you, anyway? Usually meet up, have a good meal before you start the night.
Yeah, as long as my journey down wherever I'm going is usually okay. So when my job, when I'm finished, usually 3 o'clock on a Friday, I'm off somewhere. Do you know what I mean? So just keep going. Evening, Kerry.
Hi, Kerry. Thanks for joining us. If you got any questions, just add them to the live. Garry is a medium, if you don't know him. You've also got Raw Paranormal. Do you organise events yourself?
No, I don't do any events myself. What I just try and do is like leave the camera running if I'm at a location. It is raw. It is raw how it is. Like we went to Leeds Museum the other week. I went in and around the mummy upstairs, and what I actually done was just left the camera rolling on the side because I didn't want. There's a time and a place to have the live feed on, and there's a time and place not to have the live feed on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, I'm getting a little bit more away from leaving the live feeds now because I'm just more concentrated on what's going on in and around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On the location, so it's trying to give people the experience of come along and enjoy the night, come along and experience of the room temperature change, the sensations, or 3 or 4 people's where the hair's standing on end. Come and experience that. Come and experience the energy shifts that go on in and around us. It's just amazing.
Yeah, the real life is different, but with someone like yourself who can actually help people to experience things as well, that's a big bonus. People just like attend events, they hold hands, nothing happens, might get a flashing light, but to actually get it to this degree where it's good. I like what happened at Warwick was mad. I was picking up loads of things. Terry Coops, if you're trying to protect everything, and your energy gets is your energy depleted or stops others having the experience?
No, because I'll also ask them to come through the veil as well. So what I'm doing is, if you think of, if you put a thin layer of tracing paper around everyone for
Right.
their energy. So when I'm saying about protection, it's just like, right, we're in our own little bubble, but still filter through the veil and still come and work with us. Do you know what I mean? So again, it's like how can you say, it's like treading on eggshells, or it's just trying to have that barrier and protection where it's like, don't hit us too quick too soon, where we don't want to be zapped. You don't want people in and around you to be zapped or feel sick or feel uneasy or queasy, or they want to sit down, because you want them to experience of what this energy is about coming forward, and you want to work with the energy coming forward. But if you just put that little layer over where, and then say, come and work through the veil. So what I'll ask to do is I'll throw my energies up, and then I'll ask spirits to come down, and then it starts interlinking.
Right.
So when you get in the barrier of the level there, as you throw your energies up, you ask the energies to come down and work and blend. So it's a slower pace than just getting the straight at you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. Like, a lot of people say that if you do protection, then you do actually, it does stop you from picking things up.
Yeah, as again, what I say is I always go in with an open book. You've got to have the respect of the land that you're on as well. So like I did before, where I went into Corwin, I'm walking into a circle. So that place I was actually in was a circle. So I am going to put full protection up. I will never go. I will just go onto a location, be grounded. And then if you feel uneasy as you're walking towards it, or things have gone on prior on the way down, that's where you know of what level you're going towards. So you get to know of, like, right, this is going to be a class A or a class B, or do you know what I mean? You get used to what brands and brackets of the energy and the entities around, you know.
That's brilliant. Russ Bevan, do you agree with investigators antagonising spirits to get responses?
In a way, what I've seen is I always feel that spirits will work with like-minded people.
Right.
So if you've got somebody that's quite bolstery or really aggressive or really in their day, that how their mannerisms and how they were within their times, if you go in with that type of approach, you're already walking into a clash. So it's like, if it's a male situation on a male type of thing, it's like that castle that I've walked into, it was like the stubborn chap there. He's like, no, I'm not talking to you. You're a little peasant on your way. So he still sees me. That type of energy or entity from that timeline and that era will see you as like, oh, you're below me. See you later. So, but if you go in treating it like for like, it's you've got to understand the trust. You've got to understand the energy that's coming towards you of what they're about. You've got to work out quickly what they're about.
Right.
So, and many a time we've had spirits where they can portray themselves through boards and stuff like that as other energies that it's not. And you're like, yeah, you're just all mouth or you're all action or whatever. It's just like, there's a time and a place. If you've had a very, very quiet night, it's a very quiet night. So I'm not going to really start antagonizing anything, because it's come back another time, because there's another layer. There's another time where it wants you to come back. They might want you with different people as well. So spirits, again, when you're with like-minded people, the more will come towards you. So if you've got the right team and the right people around you, that's where you'll get more information.
Yeah, I do find, like, a lot of times I go out, I'm generally with people with good energy, and it does help things come through. A bit more than Cash and K2, to be honest. But yeah,
I think if you get to a location and you're coming out the hub and you'll say, right, we're going to walk down to the X, Y, or Z room, and as you're walking down, I will be a little bit quiet walking towards a room or something. So I usually go into a room and wait for somebody to start sensation or picking up on something themselves. Oh, I feel a draft, or did you hear that? Did you hear this? Then it usually starts, the lid comes off, doesn't it? And then it's, oh, what name are you picking up? How do you feel? And then when somebody can just give you that little bit of a start of the night to unfold, that's it. You're usually away, and it's the end of the night before you know it.
Oh yeah, paranormal time's quite amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It seems to drag, not really. And you go to paranormal, you might have 6 hours, 12 hours in the location, and just seems like 5 minutes, doesn't it? It's absolutely crazy.
I have been on a 48-hour lockdown, and then I ended up left on my own. Everybody had bailed out halfway through the second night, but I was like, no, I'm staying till the morning. I'm staying till the morning the second night, and it can be, but totally different nights, one night from the other.
Yeah, well, you've got the change of energy anyway, haven't you? If everyone's left, then it's just you there, so the energy will change a bit, won't it?
But I felt towards on the second night, this energy was getting more and more suppressive, more and more weighted, and it done what it wanted to do. It wanted me on my own. It wanted to take your strengths off away from your friends' energies as well, so they can play games big time.
So did it make these people feel ill? Did it make them feel more tired so they had to leave?
No, I just think that they'd seen enough of the layers that they wanted to receive, and I think it was like, right, okay, but I just felt more of my duty to stay there and ride it out and have the second the 48 hours time that was on the location, which is, it's always good.
All right. Russ Bevan, he wants to know if you feel spirit attracted to light energy or emotion, or just particular people.
I think again, with the a lot of people's emotions, I always say you've got to take the emotions out of things. So when a spirit's coming at you with the kitchen sink, it's like, slow down, go back a day or two, go back a year or two, work with me prior to this situation and happening and unfolding. So you might get somebody that might have lost, if two spirits or energies are passed on the same time, a mother and a daughter or something, or they've been around an event of a fire or something. It's like, slow down. We know, I can feel your loss. I can feel that there's somebody else there with you, but go back prior to that happening so I can work with you. So, somebody might be sobbing, crying a lot, and then their emotions can hit you like a kitchen sink, but you've just got to say, go back an hour or two prior to this happening. What's happening? So you get to the bottom of the story. So spiritually, as a medium, I love getting to the bottom of the story. And Russ said a nice comment the other week when we was at the police station in Birmingham. He said, you like the modern era of Sherlock Holmes. So I will sit back, I will monitor, and I will write down things that happen prior to them happening as well. So spirit energies that come along, if I write 10 things down and 2 or 3 things come around on the envelope before the end of the night, it's like they're the energies that's wanted to work with us, that's prior to us going there. I felt like we're drawn to certain male or a female, a young girl, a young boy. There's a child waiting for us here, or there's a male energy. So I'll always try and write it down or put it in an envelope sometimes. So it's like self-testing yourself as well.
Right, okay, that's cool.
Which, because you've got to keep, we never stop learning, but you've just got to keep enjoying what you're doing and going, right, okay, I'm sensing this. If you're coming along tonight, brilliant, that's great. That's more amazing evidence. Do you know what I mean?
That's it. Do you document everything then?
I don't know, because I'm dyslexic, and basically writing and all that, and sentences and paragraphs, and I could do with some type of historian or somebody there that can document and go back on things. But that's why I do it raw. It is what it is. Going back to certain days in development, I come across this last night. I was emptying a drawer, and in development class, the spiritual medium that was doing this development class written things down from the Titanic. I said, right, Garry, what are you picking up? And I give all the names, the numbers of the cabin crew, and the number of the tickets of the passport and everything. And it was all on this documentation. And he said that was all the information that came out. And I could see the child on the boat as well from the Titanic. So little things like that. That was 10 years ago, and I've only come across that the other day from emptying this drawer. And when you see little things like that, it's like, wow, the power and the intelligence of spirits that you've gone along on a development night, and somebody that's developing you has give the information and put that in the envelope, and the things I've described, and then he circled off things that I've described along the night as well. So the circles would be little things that I've picked up off that I've explained that's in the envelope.
Wow, that's amazing.
So that's the intelligence of spirits. And I always remember, if you can imagine your eyes closed and you sat in a room in a development class, I could see the boat, I could see the lady on the boat, I could see a child on the boat, but I could feel my forehead. Felt like about -20. It was freezing, the temperature. I was as if you could see the breath. It was just, and that's just on a development night in the room. So it was really, really, when you get the evidence tying in, it's just mind blowing.
Yeah, it is fantastic. Got a question from Sarah Greening-Steer. Do you believe it's safe for people like me who can't connect to spirit to use a Ouija board or advise something else like a pendulum? Just curious.
To me, a pendulum doesn't usually lie with yes and no answers when it gets used to you. With a board, the people in and around you, I would expect somebody to open and close it professionally, properly, in a way that somebody's there that can go, you're not just letting the kitchen sink in, because you don't want the kitchen sink coming through. So
yeah, that's right.
If somebody does know how to work with the board, I would always recommend somebody that can open, balance and cleanse a board, basically, and say the prayers and just interact in the right way. Because I have had situations where a young teenager had opened a circle just in letters as a board in on a coffee table in the back room at home, and that was left open for about a year and a half, 2 years, and that brought a demonic through later on, which actually stepped into that lad, and that ended up in a possession. So it took us about 5-6 hours to remove that energy that had stepped in from a board. Even before I was there, I rang the house and I said, there's a board open, there's a board open. No, we don't have boards in the house. And the young adult had been writing the letters around the table, and that was hard work. And but that again was a learning curve, and that person's never done anything like that again. But that set them up for their life moving forward, because they've come away from that situation now. They've had that experience, and they've done it the wrong way, but they've learned that. Give it the kick up the backside of saying, watch what you're messing with, or watch what you don't know. Sometimes you've got to be so respectful and have the balance, and that's what it's all about, is having the balance of the right people there.
Do you think that's great for teachers' lessons, though?
It helps us all learn, doesn't it, and develop. I didn't know what I was stepping into, and that energy and entity said my name as soon as I walked in the room. Right. My surname, which was like, hang on.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was quite very, very, very strong energy and entity. But again, talk with it, deal with respect and all that. So again, it's you've just got to be, we're on this plane, we're the stronger person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Adrian says, do you think that our sensors work better than some equipment? And what equipment?
Yeah, you are your own. Your sixth sense is just amazing. Again, I've got a very good friend who's a blind person. So they've been in situations of like every location we go into. Can you imagine going in blindfolded?
Wow.
So they're very hypersensitive of what's around them. So even with myself, if I go to a location, or I go X, Y, or Z, or I'm due in another town or a city, they will sense that and say, look, just make sure that part of the city, just watch where you're going and watch what you're walking into. Do you know what I mean? Don't watch the stairs and all that type of thing. There's a mini theatre up in the top balconies. Just watch your footing, because it is dark and everywhere we go, isn't it? You know what I mean? We always try and have that atmosphere around us.
Yes.
And 9 times
the buildings are a bit ropey. I know someone's put their foot through a floorboard. It's easy enough to fall down steps in the dark, isn't it?
And castles.
A
few times, yeah.
Cheers for joining us, John Holiday. Love the way Garry sometimes gets to a venue hours before he's due, so he can walk the area and get the feeling and atmosphere of the area prior to an investigation. We mentioned this at the beginning, didn't we?
And what's good about that is, as well, John, is you'll get to know the gatekeepers of the land. You'll get to know your protectors, the positive areas, the negative areas, the stronger areas. Even, where could I say, Derby. If you go to Derby Jail and all that, go around the corner at Vernon Gate. It was a hanging. It was match of the day, and I was like, when I got to Derby Jail, I was like, no, I've got to go around the corner. I need to go around the corner. I've got to go around the corner. And they're like, oh, we know what you're going there for. And it was just like crossing over. 20,000-30,000 people. Spiritually, it just had to be the right time and the right place, you know. It was just to help spirits move over. It's just when you get to a location and something's not right. Went to Edinburgh, but I got to Edinburgh. No, I'm not supposed to be in Edinburgh. I need to go to Stirling, which is like 20 or 30 miles away. So I had to go to Stirling Castle. So it's like I'm here, but I need to go there. It's like they want to tell you their stories.
Yeah, I was due to go to Edinburgh. That wasn't to be at Easter, but yeah, we've all had trips stopped, haven't we, at the moment? What do you think about objects and energies?
Well, spiritually, the way I work as well, I work with a team of people around me as well. With certain objects, I do know about encapsulating certain energies and entities. I've got a very good friend who's a demonologist. Why I'm working away, if I've got a negative energy working nose to nose, we can encapsulate it there and then seal it, basically, even if it's in a jar or spiritually in a jar, right. And then get it later on at a negative place where it'll feel comfortable in and around. So done that on house clearance. With the objects as well, I just think it's, I wouldn't buy a second-hand mirror.
Right, okay.
I would seal a mirror straight away. Basically, you'll get used to different energies and that's around that type of stuff, and a wardrobe or something like that with a mirror in. If you don't know where it's come from, buy it new. You know what you're working with. You know what's coming forward then. Yeah. But things that's got history from the past of the time, you're like, again, you can be hit by the kitchen sink. I've got some Victorian wardrobes, and they were all redone out with the silk and all that, but they come off like basically the up from Newcastle way and all that energy. So when they were introduced into my home, it was like, hang on, it just doesn't feel right. What is it? And then I realised I needed to close the mirrors down and then seal them basically, and then it settled down as well within the bedroom basically.
Right.
So objects, they've got their own little levels, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
Do you know what I mean? So I've had it certain times where friends have come up to me and they've gone, here's my wedding ring, what are you picking up on that? And I'm like, come on, really? So sometimes you have to say no. So when it's personal, it's like, no. If it's like a family member's heirloom or a badge or a brooch, it's great. Do certain things in it being tested with people putting objects in envelopes, and you can describe it blind because your team's telling you what's going on in and around. You can, like a picture in an envelope, you do it blind. You can test people on development classes.
Yeah, I've done that in development. I like that.
So yeah. Also as well, there's you can do it with objects, of seeing objects in a pattern. So say you got 10 crayons, coloured crayons. If somebody put a knot iron over the envelope and the crayons inside on a piece of paper, then you say, right, what are you reading from that? Right. Colours and pictures. So it's like you can get like a self-portrait of mixes of colours, and then you're saying what you're seeing of the colours that's in and around the aura of the person that's give you the energy or the envelope. It's like you give me them, you bring something as a test. So somebody brought some crayons one day, we melted them, put them in the envelope on a piece of paper, and then I was describing what I was seeing in the colours. So little things like that, you just got to test yourself and push yourself. That's why I said a few weeks back, I want to see more people testing themselves out there and going out their comfort zone. So yeah. If somebody's there, the quiet person, go and be the main feature. Go and ask, you go and not entice, you go and test the boundaries yourself to go that extra mile to say, wow, that was even more experience than what I was expecting. So if you see somebody that's in a team and go, do you know what, I like the way that person works, go and have a try how that person works and test yourself out of the comfort zone, because that's what it's about. The more knowledge you get, the more understanding of what's going on in and around you. I just love seeing how that many people work.
Yeah.
So you can pick up.
It's kind of new to me. I'm learning. I don't know what's going on. I mean, in the last few months.
I am due back down at Warwick Castle in February, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh wow, I want to go back there. It's just an awesome place, isn't it?
Yeah, can't wait.
Sarah Greening Steer, I think she's probably on about the boards saying, can you use one on your own? She says,
Well,
tries, but nothing happens.
the thing is, you need a collective of energy, don't you? It's like if you're table ticking as well. You need a collective of energy to build the energy rounds as well. I've actually had situations where you've had tables turning. I know we're talking about the boards, but when the energy is and you're walking around it, you can feel the energy building. So it's collectively building. So I would stick to the pendulum, basically, if you're on your own, because you're getting a yes or no response to the questions. Ask the questions in your mind. It'll still work with your picking up on the energy of your thoughts.
Yeah.
Your pendulum will work just on your thoughts alone as well.
Right, Russ Bevan, is there anything paranormal that scares you?
Nothing.
Great question.
Nothing. As again, what I think it is as well, Russ, is again called to different locations already. I do feel like I'm going prior to them happening and evolving. When I'm due there, I will end up there. But it's like, yeah, come on, give us the kitchen sink and tell us your time. If you think of, say, you're just on, say, a location that's by the coast, you can imagine the amount of people that's lived before us that's trodden on that land.
Yeah.
So again, the pockets of energies that's in and around, it could be one story leads to another. I had a situation, was called to Harden Castle. Me and my friend went into the Harden Castle because a wall was down, so we was having a little walk late at night. And my friend, she's a Reiki master like myself. And I said, relax. A lady came forward, a girl came to meet her. She looked like the mother in spirit, the lady who I took as a friend. And she just wanted to cross over with the mother. So we'd been called there. But around in my Reiki room, when I was with the Reiki master 2 or 3 nights prior, she had Gary's little girl outside the window. And then within 2 or 3 days, we'd ended up at Harden Castle. Because the lady who I was working with Reiki looked quite like a mother in spirit, we ended up at Harden Castle, and that's what it's about. 2 or 3 days later, the end of the story came around, and that little girl drawn us to the castle, which is about half an hour from here. And it's just like, you can't buy nights like that. But in the mind's eye of my friend as the Reiki, when we was doing the Reiki and that, when we actually got to the castle and she had her eyes closed, she, Gary could see all the castle in its grandeur. She said I could see the flames on the walls, the torches. She said I could see the layers. So she was getting a time lapse of her seeing it in her mind's eye. So she was virtually jaw down to the ground, and it was just one of them moments. There was only 2 of us there. I think it was middle of like the summer solstice time. It was really high energies, right? Entities were right high, and that was just amazing. But 3 or 4 days prior to a little girl being out the back window going, oh, there's something about that, but hopefully it'll tie in. 2 or 3 days later, Gary, we need to go to the castle. Come on, let's go to the castle. And then the story unfolds, and it's just to help her to reunite her with the mum in spirit. And it just blows your mind away.
Yeah, it's such an achievement, isn't it? When you can actually help somebody out, it's just amazing. Karen Frey's got a question. Any location that you would never return to?
I think basically number 30 comes to mind. I think I've done it that many times. It's just, I don't think it's got anything else really to say to me. Basically, as a medium, it's like I've had the kitchen sink. I've shopped there. Basically, we've been with teams and we've been with the public, and there's nothing really that I've got pictures from there, I've got photographs from there. I've had things thrown at me there. It's just like, there's nothing else on the table it can bring. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's like, you've told me that chapter and you've told me 10 chapters of it. I've read the book of that section of the energy and the entity that's wanted to work with me and deal with me there. So again, I've had that energy and entity try to step into one of the team members and take Mr. Fields out, but that didn't happen. So again, it's all about breaking the session and stopping at that point. But you learn from that. You learn from it. So I think if I go back in 10 or 15 years' time, you're still going to be there.
Yeah.
So there's no rush. I've got more things to come across. So if the team said we're going to rebook here, do you want to go? I'll just say, oh, let's go and do X, Y, and Z somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you just get drawn to different places. And now I've got my mobile. I can go to different.
Brilliant. Yeah.
I can go to more isolated locations. Is what I've got planned. So I can go off the beaten track. I can go to places I want to get to now that is calling me, battlefields, cathedral grounds and stuff like that, or churches and stuff like that. And I think there's a lot more to unfold there, but more on the off-beaten track, where it's more picking up as you're walking through as well.
Yeah. What about Scotland then?
I love Scotland.
Yeah.
It's on the agenda. I love Scotland.
Yeah.
So again, I do love Stirling. I do have links with Stirling Castle from my Reiki master. She had one of her guides is from there, who's now in my team. So she stopped working spiritually, and he stepped into my team as well, which is amazing.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So again, it's just like, there's the next chapter. You can go with him now. So it's just amazing. Just love it. Just love it.
Oh, brilliant. Karen Frey wants to know when you're next going to be doing live readings on Facebook.
Well, what I've done actually, Karen, is, as you know, I've been that busy. I have had 6 or 7 weeks catching up to do, and I really have. I've got 50 hours of EVPs that I haven't even looked at, and I've been off virtually 7 weeks. I haven't even had time to look at them. So I will do a reading night live Monday now, aren't we? So I think, again, I'll be doing a live Sunday. So I might do a night in the week. I'll do a midweek, either midweek this week or midweek next week. I'll do some readings for you.
That's brilliant. You've also done development lessons for people. So for people developing, what do you suggest? Like we do meditations, or how do you?
What I ask them to be is basically, if you can imagine somebody that's had a busy day. If we're doing development class and I've got 5 or 6 people around, I don't really have a bigger class than that, because you're working individually. There's no levels with where people are up to, really. They're mixing and bringing everything in the basket. So when they step into the development class, they're putting all their eggs in the basket. So everyone's getting their traits of what they're bringing to the table.
Oh,
so
wow.
If somebody's really stronger in one area, I'll try and give that to somebody that's not experienced that level. So again, it's all on like a level playing field. So to me, when you're on a development night in class, who's due in and around with lots of, say, famous spirits that want to step forward, and then they can see them, or I can trance them through it, and them experiencing that. Wow. If and when they're waiting for it, there's so many who I've had communication with, they'll just queue up in the hall. So I'll ask them to come through one at a time. But again, it's all bringing the levels of, everyone works in different ways. So again, if somebody learns a trait of somebody that's very strong in one area, and you can give them 5% of their strength in somebody that's very strong in what they do, with the way that they investigate or the way that they work with their mediumship, that 5% will put them in good stead when they go off with somebody else. So if they're with somebody else at a level of 5% as a medium, they've got 10% between them. So they'll learn as they're moving forward. So it's little bits that you'll just try and say, look, there's some angels around you, or there's a team of people waiting to come forward. Who would you like to come forward? Ask them to come forward and work with you. Bring a family member with you in development. Ask them to come forward. Wow. So I'll ask them to come forward and show themselves to them as well. So when I do some private readings, I will work with the people and say to them towards the end of the night, is there a specific family member that you're after that hasn't come forward? And usually they'll say yes. And then that's the person that they've been waiting for, that wants to trance through, that's got them there for the reading. So I'll say, well, are you okay? Do you want me to show you that person? And then when they say yeah, I'll change the light atmosphere in the room, and then I'll try and trance the person through and bring them fully forward 80%. So it's not a full trance state where I don't know where I'm up to. Do you know what I mean? So I won't go into it fully 100%. I'll let them mix and blend with my energies. And there's there's a special way with the readings as well. If that person's not meant to see, it won't come to the table where I'll offer that. So they're not ready. So if someone's crossed recently, a couple of months or 6 months, there's always a time and a place. So I'll say, you won't need a reading for 12 months' time. Come back and see me in 12 months' time. It's not that they don't want to work. It's for them got to be open to receive. You don't want to give them the kitchen sink where it's too much, too strong, too quick with emotions. You've got to have the balance where they can accept it, receive it, and not be too unnervy of what they're seeing. Do you know what I mean? Because if somebody's not seeing the spirit fully trancing through, it can be overpowering sometimes, and you don't want that. You just want it at the nice level where if they're open to receiving, the spirit wants to come forward, it's like, oh, okay, I'll let them step in and talk back to you, basically.
Wow, that's amazing. Nearly at the end, really. I've got a last question here from Russ. Have you ever contacted or been contacted by any spirit?
Who would you like, young man? I've had Kurt Cobain, been to Macclesfield's, a Joy Division. Name's gone top of my head. Ian Curtis. I've had Princess Di. God, trying to think. I have had so Michael Jackson. He's been through. I know Aretha Franklin. She's waiting to communicate and work. I know that, even though that she's only been past a short time. I've had Mr. Mercury through, which he's obviously got his real name, which I can't think of now at the moment. There's just been that many. There's just been amazing. Do you know what I mean? But what I usually do is I usually put their names in an envelope prior to them coming.
Right.
So I will ask somebody like 5 or 6 people to how many on the development class to pick an envelope or write down who they want as well. So it might be one or the other. So it's either a family member or somebody famous to step forward. I'll usually ask them to try that as well as an experiment. Do you know what I mean?
Wow, that's amazing. John Tolliday said Elvis, Karen Bray said John Lennon.
John Lennon, I've had Elvis. Elvis, I actually tranced through in my chair in the back room.
So the reports of him being spotted are fake news.
And obviously, John Lennon, if people don't know, my mum and dad met each other at a Beatles concert. So, which is in Ellesmere Port, which is the Civic Hall, which I live about 400 yards away from, where my mum and dad met each other in '63. And John Lennon has been through, he has come and communicated, and I know I have to go to the Dakota buildings to pass a final message on, but I haven't got over to New York yet. So I feel like I'm just going to go here. I feel like I just want to cry now at the moment. But that is one place that, how can I express as a medium in a professional way is, if you can imagine what's gone on with the incidents, the final thoughts is me not talking to you to say goodbye, or, oh, I wanted to say this to this person, I wanted to say this to that person. And you're picking up on all them emotions, then I will say, if I got over there, come back and talk to me prior to that. What do you want to write down? When I had Ian Curtis through, it was a message basically that he doesn't want to be at the graveside. He wants his stone in the property that he lived in Macclesfield. He wants to be residing within the property still because he loved it that much. That's his time, that's his space. He doesn't want to reside where he is, but I haven't met up with his family members, his daughter, to say that. It's so hard when you have to put a full stop on it in the corridor and leave it there for a while. If I ended up meeting that person and that's a daughter or a son and I've got that information, I would just obviously explain in the professional way, would you like to, I wouldn't just say, oh, by the way, I've got this information. There's if I was sat at the bar and it was somebody's famous daughter or sister or whatever I was next to, I'd have to introduce myself and say, give me a contact in a few weeks' time. Or you've got to be professional on how you go about unveiling the story of what you've received as well. You see, Phil Lynott was the other one.
Oh, wow.
Phil Lynott as well.
I've got to stop now. It's a shame because I've been talking to you forever.
Yeah.
Got my next show coming on.
John's right there with the name.
Straight after this one. So if you keep on the channel, then there's Neil on there. Okay, thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks for speaking to me, Garry Fields, and speak to you all again sometime. Thank you.
Thanks
Bye.
for having me. Catch up soon.